Today we're going to be taking a look at the Latin language textbook Lingua Latina per se Illustrata, Part 1, Familia Romana. Its companion book corresponding to the first 24 chapters, Colloquia Personarum by Hans Öberg. For those of you unfamiliar with this book or the series, it's in what's called the natural method. So the book is entirely in the language. You learn the language through the language, basically, right? So it's 100% Latin. There are no translations. The vocabulary list is all in Latin. The grammar is all in Latin. So all the explanations are just 100% Latin. And you just learn. You don't need to know Latin to start learning it. It helps if you know a little bit at least, but you don't need to. It's very, very effective. It's a very, very effective method. It really does work. So we'll go ahead and start with the index, and then we'll go to the first chapter. So we have 35 chapters total. Following that, we get a table of declensions, which is well done. And then we get the Roman calendar, the vocabulary index of vocabulary, and then an index of grammar. The vocabulary index will show you which chapter a word is introduced in, and that is okay. Go ahead and start with the first chapter here. So you can see up top here we have a picture, and we have words. 3 words are written on there. So we have insula, oppidum, and fluvius. You should be able to figure out what those mean, as they are naming the thing they are. So it's very, very easy to tell. So fluvius is river, oppidum is city, and insula is island. And the first sentence, well, go ahead and read the first paragraph actually. It's only like 4 sentences, so, or 4 lines. Roma in Italia est. So Rome is in Italy. Extremely easy to understand. Then we go in Italia in Europa est, Graecia in Europa est, Italia et Graecia in Europa sunt, Hispania quoque in Europa est, Hispania et Italia et Graecia in Europa sunt. So what we're getting here is Rome is in Italy, Italy is in Rome, Italy is in Europe, Greece is in Europe, Italy and Greece are in Europe, Spain is also in Europe. So, and you can see the way it references back, right? So Rome is in Italy, Italy is in Rome. So it's kind of just moving it around, but we're getting the same structure, of sentencing. And the paragraphs basically work the same way. It doesn't stay, and I've noticed in a lot of the paragraphs and a lot of the chapters, it seems like each paragraph will be kind of a little bit different about what it's talking about, and then it kind of, a paragraph or 2 later, it will reference back to one of the previous paragraphs. So that's kind of like reinforcing what you've already learned. And we also get marginal notes on the side. So like so that's the nominative and ablative endings. So for example, Italia, in Italia. So let's see, and then each chapter ends with a grammatical explanation, all in Latin, like I said, like singularis et pluralis. So they give you examples here, like Nilus fluvius magnus est. So the Nil is a big river. And then you get Nilus et Rhenus fluvi magni sunt. So very important for Latin is, of course, the endings of nouns and adjectives, because they have to agree with each other, and the endings tell you the case, which tells you the function of the word in the sentence. So very, very important for Latin, and it does a very good job of introducing this. And then we get the exercises. Each chapter ends with A, B, and C. A and B are functionally, what's the word for it? They're fill in the blanks and add the endings, basically, would be the type of exercises they are. So if we can get this to focus so you can see. For example, here we have the Nilus fluvi est. Well, that obviously doesn't make sense. We need to end it with US, so Nilus fluvius est, and then Nilus et Rhenus fluvi. And then we get a couple blanks, so fluvii is for the plural, and then sunt, because it's obviously to be in the plural for the 3rd person. So both are like that, but it's all referencing back to the text itself. And a lot of times if you just reread it, if you're kind of stumped on something, you can usually find the same sentence in there. So you can kind of figure out what you need to know you're having trouble with that. And then exercise C is actually questions regarding the text. So, ubi est Roma, where is Rome? Est ne Sparta in Italia, is Sparta in Italy? For those of you who don't know, it is not. And then we have the vocabulary added as a marginal note at the end. So that is how every chapter is structured. And now we have chapter 2 here, which is Familia Romana, the name of the book. Iulius vir Romanus est, Aemilia Femina Romana est. So we're getting the same type of structure where we're just changing out a couple words, but we're keeping it basically the same. And this gives you, in this case, a contrast of the masculine adjective compared to the feminine adjective. And yeah, that's basically how the book functions. It becomes increasingly more complex. Fantastically done book, though. It really does work, like I said. I've learned a fair amount of Latin from this, and I'm still working through it, but go ahead and take a look at the grammatical table here, or declension table. And so you can see there are different declensions in Latin. For those, again, for those of you who aren't familiar, you might get one word that is, you might expect, for example, femina, right? Okay, it has the N, so it's feminine, that means woman, and it ends in a. So insula, island, that ends in a, so that makes it feminine. But you have words like ovis, which is feminine, but it means sheep. So there are some different patterns for how nouns are conjugate or declined. And it goes over all that. It gives you the different declensions, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. They're all marked nicely. And then we get the pronouns, obviously marked as well. Verbs, the way different forms, and going to the index here, we get the chapter and then page for when something's introduced, or is that line? No, I believe that's line actually. So you got the chapter something is introduced in, a word is introduced in, and then the line it appears in. This book, as you might have noticed, between chapters 1 and 2 follows first it introduces the Roman Empire, some geography, and then the second chapter introduces the Roman family that you follow around. Not every chapter has to do with the Roman family. A lot of times it'll partially have something to do with them, and then it'll start talking about something else, or it might talk about something else and then go back to them, and then you'll get other chapters that talk about other stuff. Now we'll go to the side book here, which is the Colloquia Personarum. You might remember I said this only corresponds to the first 24 chapters. There are a total of 35. We'll go ahead and take a quick look at this one. So we'll go ahead and start with the first one. So Colloquium Primum, we get Marcus and Julia, which are two of the children in the Roman family. And Marcus is asking Julia, where is Syria? Where's Syria? I don't know how to say it in English. Was it? And she says, Sauria is in Asia. So Syria is in Asia. And he says, no, it's not Syria. It's, excuse me, I misread that. I thought it said Sauria, it says Syria. He says, no, it's Syria, it's Syria. So he's correcting her explanation. So it's kind of meant to be a little bit of an authentic explanation, try to help with pronunciation and all that. And it repeats a lot of the it's basically the same vocabulary from the text the specific chapter corresponds to, and it gives you kind of a behind the scenes. So it starts out very short. It's only not even 2 full pages, but as you go on it becomes several pages long, and we get different characters in each chapter, so it actually gives you behind the scenes for a lot of the characters that aren't covered in this book, or we only see some of what's going on with them here, but then we get more in this book. And this book also ends with a grammatical table, and it actually, interestingly, has a vocabulary in English. So, it gives you the words. So if you can't figure it out, you can just actually look them up here. I don't believe it actually has all of the vocabulary from this book, though. That's another thing I forgot to mention. This book has about 18, so it says here almost 1,800 words, and the back is in English actually, so only the back, only the explanation, of course, and I think the copyright, but fantastic book. For those of you who are interested, there are other books in this series. or not series, but that are done in the same method. I believe they were the same people who were involved in initially creating this. Like you have the Italian one, which is a little bit different, as it has gives you the pronunciation under each word. That does not occur in the Latin one. You don't really need it, though, to be honest. It's pretty easy to learn to read Latin. And there is another great book that has come out fairly recently called Via Latina. I did a review on this one. I think it's a good thing to use with this book. Don't think I'd recommend it on its own unless you already speak some Latin, again, from using this, or if you speak a Romance language. It seems more aimed at people who, well, it's made in Spain, so more aimed at people who are, already a Romance speaker. There's audio for that, and then there's audio for this. There's official audio, and there are a lot of uploads of people reading it. Not recommending anyone do anything that is potentially a copyright violation, but if you can download the audio from videos or things like that, I would recommend doing that. Sometimes they go off, or sometimes they're taken down. But you have, I think, Luke Rainieri, I think his name is. He had a really fantastic set of videos reading through these texts here. He has a really good pronunciation on things. He has a nice, pleasant voice to listen to. And some other people have uploaded them too. I think he was using classical Latin. So there are two differences for those of you who don't know. There's classical and there's ecclesiastical. What is it? So classical is basically, you would say like Cicero instead of Cicero. But the ecclesiastical pronunciation is basically reading it like modern Italian. So it'd be like Cicero, So, yeah, that's the Latin language, or that's Lingua Latina. So go ahead and put the ISBN and all the other information down below.